Good day, class. This is Sir Anthony, and I'm going to discuss to you verbal and non-verbal communication. This is really important for us because we use communication in our everyday lives, and communicating depends on how you will interact with them, either verbal or non-verbal. But before we go through these two types, let's just define first what is communication. Communication is simply the act of transferring information from one place, person, or group to another. This thing that I'm doing, transferring information from here to your place, is an example of a communication. From me, one person, to a group of people like you. And now, for us to understand more and have a good overview of what communication is, let's now talk about the communication process. Communication starts with the sender. The sender will encode the message through different types of channels, like the device that you're using in online class or the internet connection. And this message will definitely go through the decoding in the part of the receiver. After the decoding, the receiver will process the message to his brain. And after the processing, that will become the one-way communication process. Then, after he received the message, there will be a feedback. If this feedback will be sent to the sender, then it will be called the two-way communication process. And that's the cycle of communication. And within this cycle is what we call the noise. Noise are everywhere inside the process. It could be physical sounds, physical noise, like the barking of the dogs, the crying of your little sister, and anything else. By the way, not only physical sounds are considered as noise, but also digital noise, like internet connection interruption or device failure, and many more. And that composed of communication process. And now let's talk about the verbal communication. Verbal communication is the use of words to share messages with other people. The term spoken or oral communication is also used to describe face-to-face conversations or communicating through distance delivery mode, such as telephone calls, radio broadcasts, or television shows. Your daily conversation with your family is a perfect example of spoken or oral communication. And this thing that we're doing, online classes, is an example of verbal communication through communicating in the distance delivery mode. And also, when you watch television, it is also considered as verbal communication. Why? Because you're reading messages from them. Why? Because you're reading the text that this television show shows, especially when you watch movies with subtitles. However, written works like books, emails, journals, letters, and newspapers, for instance, are also considered as examples of verbal communication because words are used to convey the message of the writers. However, this is only a one-way communication. Why? because the receiver won't be able to receive the feedback from the sender. Now let's go to the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is the transmission of feelings and attitude that add impression in order to convey intended messages without words. They are sent through non-verbal ways such as eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, postures, and distance. We use eye contact if we want to convey messages without talking. We use facial expressions to express our emotions, whether we are angry, happy, scared, and more. We use gestures in conveying messages through sign languages and body language. We use posture to show our attitude, like putting our two hands on our hips. And we use distance to convey a message to keep distance to one another. It is common knowledge that how we deliver our thoughts is as important as what we actually say them. In short, action speaks louder than words. And for your activity, I'm going to send a link to your group chat. Enjoy learning!